All right, welcome to the Taft City Council and Successor Agency. This is a joint regular meeting for Tuesday, April 19th, 2016 here at City Council Chambers. Tonight, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Knorr and Bob Jordan. You graciously volunteered to give our invocation tonight, so if you'll please rise.
Y'all join me, please, as we salute our nation's flag. Hand over your heart and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bob?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this union of everybody being here tonight. We ask for prayers for our city, our county, our state, and our great nation. We ask that everyone here speaking tonight be of love, understanding, and everything we're delivering, Father. May we be blessed. May Taft be blessed for many, many more years. God bless our city council, our police department, and every member of the city. In the name and through the power of Jesus Christ. And everybody says, Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Dave. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Miller,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Knorr,
Here.
Councilmember Cryer,
Here.
Councilmember Bryant,
Here.
and Councilmember Hill. Here.
The first item on the agenda tonight is a lottery drawing for Safe and Sane Fireworks Stands, 4th of July, 2016. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Each year, the city accepts applications from qualified nonprofit organizations to operate safe and sane fireworks stands pursuant to the City Code of Regulations, Title 4, Chapter 13. Out of the applications received for the lottery drawing, 4 will be selected and plus 1 alternate. A primary organization has multiple auxiliary or affiliated organizations. Only the first name drawn for that organization will be granted the license to operate, and the other no longer will be considered eligible. Organizations submitting applications for 2016 are the following: the Independent Order of Oddfellows, Taft Lions Club, Taft Longhorns Travel Baseball Club, Taft Midway Sunset Lions Club, Taft Midway Sunset Lion Foundation, Taft Sportsman's Club, and the United Pentecostal Church of Taft. Notation: the Taft Midway Sunset Lions Foundation operates under a separate federal tax ID number, and whereas the club is a 501c3, whereas the other club is a 501c4. So they're two separate entities, so they're still eligible. One is strong.
Madam Clerk, you're the...
Yes, we have the Taft Lions Club, Independent Order of Oddfellows, the Taft Longhorns Travel Baseball Club, Taft Midway Sunset Lions Club, Taft Midway Sunset Lions Foundation, United Pentecostal Church of Taft, and the Taft Sportsman's Club.
I don't, in the olden days when we did this, there used to be a representative of each organization here. There's one. Anybody else? 2. We got 2 out of 8, or 6, 7, whatever we got.
I was wondering, usually the house is packed for this one.
Yeah.
Just pick one and hold it.
Pressure.
Pick one and hold it.
I got one. Right there.
And pick one and hold it. I shall remain neutral. Okay. Mrs. Hill?
Taft Longhorns Travel Baseball Club.
Councilman Bryant?
Taft Midway Sunset Lions Foundation.
Mr. Cryer?
United Pentecostal Church.
Councilman Knorr?
The Independent Order of Oddfellows.
And there we go. Oh, we need one more. I'll let Mr. Jones.
Taft Sportsman's Club.
Okay, there we go. We've got our winners. We wish them all the very much success in their fundraising efforts and for a safe and sane 4th of July. Okay, item number 2, a proclamation of Child Abuse Prevention Month. I've asked Councilman Bryant to read that for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City of Taft, April 2016, Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable assets. And whereas child abuse is a serious and growing problem affecting millions of our nation's children. And whereas all families can benefit from strong support systems and resources in the face of these challenges. And as parents, friends, neighbors, and fellow human beings, keeping our kids safe is among our highest priorities. And whereas decreasing the occurrence of child abuse relies upon the efforts of every individual in order to make a positive, substantial impact upon the children of today who will become the leaders of tomorrow. Now therefore be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Taft hereby proclaims April 2016 as Child Abuse Prevention Month, signed and dated this 19th day of April 2016, and signed by the mayor and the 4 councilmen.
Good. You here to receive it?
I am.
Okay. We got Doug, gonna take a picture? Come on up.
All right, let's get her up here and then we can play Jenga. Come on up. We'll let you get up here, then we'll push chairs out the way. Otherwise, you're dodging traffic like a 405.
Buddy, all right.
Sorry. All right.
We're stuck here.
Here we go. All right, Dick, get my good side. I have to turn around all the way.
Here we go, any kind of thing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's it. Say a few words.
Sure. Yes, please.
All right. Reverse order now.
We have Doris Sons. She's a program director at the Department of Human Services. Are you still here in Taft?
I am not.
Oh, she moved.
I know, I missed that greatly.
All right. Well, you've been in our office here for a number of years.
Yes,
so
3, almost, yeah, it's almost 3 years.
Well, we really enjoyed your presence there. So if you'll introduce yourself for the record and
Okay.
whatever you'd like to say.
Thank you, Mayor Miller and the members of the Taft City Council Board for proclaiming April as Child Abuse Prevention Month and for giving us the opportunity to speak about the efforts we are making in bringing awareness and prevent child abuse in Kern County. My name is Doris Sons, and I'm an Assistant Program Director for the Department of Human Services Executive Office. Historically, the month of April is devoted to highlighting everything we do to transform our communities into a place that actively supports families and children, such as offering parents access to childcare, affordable health services, parenting resources, employment services, substance abuse, and mental health programs. As we continue to focus on the prevention of child abuse, we want to bring awareness to the help that family members, neighbors, and members of the community can provide. If you suspect child abuse, please report it. Tragically, 2 infants died as a result of abuse in our county in 2015. These children were 3 and 4 months old and killed by parents who should have loved and cared for them. Since 2010, our county has lost a total of 25 children, all under the age of 4 due to abuse. Of the 25, 1 was a child that lived here in Taft. These children were too young to be in school or an environment where the public had the opportunity to see them on a daily basis. It is imperative that grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors, church family, and all of us pay attention to changes that are concerning when children are involved. Concerns may include alcohol or drug use, stress, isolation, anger, or mental issues. If you suspect something is wrong, give us the opportunity to check it out. We need your help as community leaders and residents in protecting our most valuable treasures, our children. Thank you for this proclamation and for joining our efforts in bringing child abuse awareness and prevention to the Taft community. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Doris, and thank you to the department and all the staff members. We hope this helps and help to prevent any further deaths. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item number 3, public hearing, zoning ordinance amendment 2016-01, garage or yard sales. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. At the January 20th and February 17th, 2016 Planning Commission meetings, commissioners and staff discussed current regulations for yard and garage sales and reviewed a draft ordinance amendment. Staff presented the current TAF section of the zoning ordinance as well as Kern County zoning and other ordinances on the yard or garage sales. There was a concern that some of the may be conducting more commercial business as opposed to selling off their personal, gently worn goods and products. Staff recommends City Council hold a public hearing and approve the attached ordinances for zoning ordinances amendment number 2016-1, an amendment of Chapter 1 and 12 of Title 6 of the TAF zoning ordinance related to garage and yard sales.
Okay, recommended action is that we conduct a public hearing, so I will open at this time a public hearing, and if anybody wishes to come forward, and I see nobody jumping up out of their seats, so I will close a public hearing and entertain a motion to approve and amend the City of Taft Municipal Code entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Taft approving zoning ordinance amendment number 2016-01, an amendment of chapters 1 and 12 of Title 6 of the Taft zoning ordinance relating to garage or yard sales for the first reading by title only and reading of such be waived.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Cryer, do you have any comment?
One question I have, does this affect the nonprofits for fundraising? The ordinance?
If they're holding yard sales, it will. At a personal residence or something, not at a business.
Could it be like a clubhouse? Would that still be legal?
I would have to defer to Mark.
Thank you, Councilman Cryer. Mark Staples, Planning Director for the city. There's nothing specific, as you can see, to who is holding the yard sale. So I know there's, Unity Thrift and some others hold some yard sales like that. I would just recommend if they're needing to max out the 4, spread it out amongst a couple residences, and there shouldn't be an issue. I don't know too many people have enough stuff to sell 4 times a year. So I would just recommend that they go that direction if they're able to do so. The purpose of the ordinance was more because there was very little definition in our code at the time regarding yard sales, and being more specific with the number of times and days and all that is why we did this. But there is nothing specific, and none of the other cities had anything specific about the specific group that conducted the yard sale. It was just the individual property 4 times a year, max consecutive days of 3 days each time for the 4 times each year. So.
I'm a firm believer in Unity Thrift, and they do a really excellent job for what they do as far as the animals and stuff. And,
right.
And it's being held at a clubhouse. I was wondering if that would be exempt from that.
Clubhouse,
That'd be the Lions Club?
the Lions Club at their property,
It's the Lions Club property.
at the Lions Club property. They do it regularly there.
I'm not sure how it is. I just want to make sure it's an effect or somehow we can work with them to, what they do is a good part of the community.
It is, yeah. But all I had known of their activity was they were doing I thought it was at residential properties, so they were able to spread it amongst a couple properties over the course of a year. I don't know how regular they do the sales, but I don't think there'd be an issue if they were utilizing multiple properties. It's more of, as briefly discussed in the staff report, there was some concern some properties were conducting a little more of a commercial business.
There's some
on the property.
residential properties in the city that people set up yard sales, and they've run 120 days consistently yard sale, because then it becomes just a permanent blight issue for the neighborhood, that the neighbors have to look at all the laundry hanging on the fences and the knickknacks and all that stuff constantly. So.
Well, like Mark said, most of us don't have enough stuff to get rid of, and even 4 yard sales, and if you're doing it 120 days in a row, then you're pretty much in a commercial business then, and then you're not paying city getting a city business license, you're not paying sales tax.
Right.
And you're operating as a shadow type business, so that's not what we want.
Right.
We want people, if you're gonna get rid of your stuff, 4 times a year should be plenty.
And we recognize what the nonprofits and the service clubs are doing to help certain causes, so.
I work
we
at the
spread it
Mead
out.
Center, and they have maybe 3 a year out of their building up on Main Street, and it's a major fundraiser for them, but, we couldn't be doing it every weekend. This would be impossible.
Right.
Is this, I didn't see the whole ordinance on it. Now, about the signs on have more better bite on it, when people put on public signs, on stop signs and street signs?
We were specific in that they needed to be portable, so either their own little A-frame structure, or if they did jab something in the ground, it's easy to be removed. We don't want the nuisance of signs, but
It does call out no
it's come out.
signs.
I came down here tonight, up on, right by Waldrop's on 6th and Kern Street, there's 2 yellow yard sale signs hanging on the pole there.
Yeah. And one thing we're going to do is, and the commission suggested I follow up with some level of advertising, a flyer of some sort, and we get it out to as many people as possible through the means we have, city website, social media, chamber, whatever we need to do to get the word out that, limit the amount of yard sales. We have a specific code on it now, and code enforcement will keep an eye out, or PD on weekends.
Is there penalties, they put signs on, or it's a first time's a warning, second time there's a fine, or?
I'd have to defer that to code enforcement, but I think you get a notice of violation, then you correct the violation, and then any repeat offense, you start incurring the fines that are in the administrative section of the code.
If the mayor tears a sign down first, does that count as one, or he turns it in?
That'll probably be a discretion. If we're able to identify who.
There's nowhere in our codes that allow signs of that nature on utility
signs at all.
poles. Nowhere. So when you're hanging a sign on utility poles and city infrastructure things, that is not allowed at all.
No
So
light, no.
everybody has a right to tear those signs down and off, and they're blighting. And I'm still just really mad at people. You're getting a yard sale, you're making a lot of money, you're doing great, and you don't have the energy to go out and take your signs back down the day after your yard sale's over. So, don't have a lot of sympathy for those folks.
Right.
And one of the things I think that I'm gonna start doing is, if I see those signs up on a Monday after a weekend, I'm gonna bring them to the next council meeting and hold them up. So, we'll see if we can shame some people into not doing that anymore.
I think, yard sales and garage sales have a purpose in the city, because there are times when people buy new furniture or new clothes or appliances that they don't need no more. They hand it to somebody that's less needy that could use it, and also, times are getting kind of difficult too. Some people need to shed some of their assets in order to pay their bills and to keep their livelihood going. But there's a point where it can be over-abused, which we need to regulate. Thank you.
Mr. Bryant?
Yes, sir. I did have a couple questions. Mark, is this a comparable ordinance to other municipalities in the area?
Yes, I saved you from multiple attachments that I shared with the commission. What you have is a bit of a hybrid of our existing section, which was, if you see in the resolution, the strike-through section was all we had, was the definition, there wasn't more detail. And you have a bit of a hybrid looking at some of the codes from Kern County, Bakersfield, and other cities in Kern County where you saw a lot of repeats of similar code structures when it comes to describing the yard sales and regulating them. So it's very comparable to everything else in the Kern County area. It just differs whether the code section's in the zoning code or the business license finance department section of the municipal code. That's really the only difference, is where it's located.
Okay. And the other question I had is, one of the things it mentions in here is you have to come down to get a permit at no cost for a yard sale. How many people are getting permits now?
None, because we don't have anything established.
Okay,
It's
so
just
they're-
defined, and code enforcement and PD was kind of keeping a lookout.
Okay.
So it's more of just a notice so that we can share it with code enforcement and PD, send them off on a Thursday or Friday that these are the expected yard sales this weekend, and then they could see who else wasn't, and then it's more of a mild way of trying to monitor and keep an eye out of who's consistently having yard sales and who hasn't, but we're not trying to be too much of a big brother on this. We know people want to resell their goods. When they buy new furniture, appliances, whatever it may be, and they're trying to get rid of the old one, they totally understand. But it's...
Can't turn it into a business.
Yeah, we're just trying to, it's more of a notification to the folks who are here on the weekend, and keep an eye on it all.
Do you see the inordinate cost to staff or to the city to monitor that?
No,
kind
it'd
of
be
thing?
existing persons that are on staff. If we could find a way, if it becomes consistent that people are notifying us, we'll just send it out to them end of Thursday if we get it by then, because typically they're Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but any other time we get maybe some odd midweek stuff, we'll send it off to them to keep an eye out.
Mainly it's if there's a complaint that comes to the PD,
Definitely.
then the PD knows that it's permitted.
Yeah.
But if we get a complaint that someone's at a 3-week yard sale going on, the PD can go over and shut them down because it's violation of our zoning code.
Very good. Yep, close the loophole.
Because nobody wants to have that next to their
Absolutely.
house.
Yeah.
Very good. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Hill.
I have a few issues with this. First of all, I probably go to more yard sales than anybody in Taft, so I do know who your offenders are, and most of them are in the county. Just so you know, we have a lot of offenders in the county. They've got businesses running. There are a few places in the city that I'm aware of, and they are selling new items, but that's kind of a slippery slope to prove that's a new item. I'm aware of that. And I do think that needs to be monitored, because I would not appreciate somebody next door to me having junk all over their yard. But I also think that you are underestimating how much trouble this is going to be. Do you have any idea how many places yard sale people advertise? You have Taft Treasures 1, Taft Treasures 2, you have the Independent, you have the paper, not to mention every sign in town. I firmly believe that those signs should come down after a yard sale, and I happen to be a person who thinks if you have a yard sale on Saturday, if you can't get those signs down by Monday, you should be fined. I do think that. I think it is ridiculous. I've had yard sales, I go to yard sales. Get your behind out there and take those nasty things down. I like them. I mean, that lets me know where things are happening, but take them down. And I do think that's the one thing we really need to consider, is the possibility of a fine on that. Most of the people who have yard sales probably are not going to read the newspaper to find out we're doing this. They're not going to look at our Facebook pages, and I'm afraid this could be a bit of a PR nightmare. I think it's going to be hard for us to monitor. We don't have enough police staff right now to take our calls when I've got bricks being thrown off of my building. And so we're going to worry about a police officer carousing up and down the streets to see if somebody's got a yard sale that hasn't got a permit. So what are we going to do? Go to their house and say, do you have a permit for this? Oh, you don't? Then stop the yard sale. We got 20 people in the yard. Yeah, I get the point of this, but at the same time, I see the problems with this. And I think that maybe we need to do a little bit of, I don't think people are going to come down and they're going to get a permit for it. I just can't see the guy that has 2 yard sales a year. Unity Thrift, they are now having their yard sales at the, on Main Street at the Lions Club, and they have one about every 2 months. That's their big fundraiser. And it's not convenient for them to move it to different people's houses. That is one of their biggest fundraisers. That's how the dogs are getting taken care of in this town. So I do think we need to fine tune this, because the way it sits, I think that we are going to it's just kind of a PR nightmare. We have enough people that think we're doing things that are over-governing in this town. And I do believe they're wrong. I mean, I have had businesses outside of Taft, so I know that Taft does not have too many regulations on how we put a business together. But this just appears to be one more thing that we're trying to over-govern by some of the verbiage in it. And I don't see how we can enforce it.
Okay.
That's my concern.
Thank you. Mr. North.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the facts that we need to be aware of is, like Mr. Staples said, this is not brand new to our ordinances. I mean, the language regarding how many times a year and how long has been in there. You cannot expect people to play by the rules if you don't publish the rules. And so this is a clarification, and it also lets you know that you can come down, you can get that free application. By the same token, you cannot put any teeth in it unless you let them know from the get-go just exactly at what point in time to expect those teeth. So a part of this has always been there. This is an expansion and clarification. I too believe that, you know what, people are going to have yard sales. I understand the philosophy behind it. I don't like seeing signs, whether they're signs for a free concert or for a yard sale or for a lost dog. I don't like seeing those signs stapled all over posts or stop signs in the middle of an intersection until such a time as they're rag-tagged and faded. So I think they all should come down. But here again, that wasn't clarified in the original verbiage. So I understand the clarification. That's part of ordinance compliance, is you're always going to have some who won't, and there will be excuses, and you're going to have to try to get the word out there, and that's going to take a little bit of time. But I do believe you can't expect people to play by the rules if you don't let them know what the rules are. So, thank you very much. That's all I have to say, Mr. Mayor.
Somebody mentioned about the county areas. Yeah, we get a lot of signs from the county areas, and of course, we're not proposing to do any kind of regulation in the county areas. We have to put something together, whether it gets the word out or whether people will comply with it or not. If we don't have it in place, then we don't have an argument. So at least we have an argument. You've got a ordinance in place. We've tried to fine tune it. We've had 5 other planning commissioners look at it and look it over, plus staff input. So, you know, I think we've got at least something in place. If the bad players would quit playing by not, you know, junking up their yards and putting a extended yard sale and running a business rather than just trying to earn a few extra bucks on the weekends to, you know, so the kids will have some allowance money or something, but they're actually running a business and buying and selling and doing, and then not complying with our ordinances for business license or taxes and that kind of thing. We wouldn't be here. So it's the people who, the 10, 20, 30% or that are not playing the game right, that are causing us to do this. So I have no sympathy for any of those folks. I think yard sales are great. Whenever I get a chance, you know, I like to go to yard sales too. I'm a bargain hunter just like everybody else. But, you know, there's got to be some common sense into it, and hopefully what we're doing here is putting a little common sense into what we're doing. Nothing we can do, I suppose, about the folks that come in from the county areas and put signs in the city, but I again tell everybody, we have an ordinance that says no sign on poles, so rip them down if you would. I do regularly, and as the weather is changing and getting a little nicer on the weekends, there's going to be a lot more yard sales off, and I'm going to start ripping them down as soon as I see them. So I have no other input, so Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second, so if you'll take roll call, please.
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Noor?
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
No.
Mayor Miller?
Yes, that passes on a 4-0 vote. All right. 4-1 vote, I'm sorry, gee whiz, I'm done. Your vote counted, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to discount it. Item number 4, public hearing, zoning ordinance amendment 2016-2, fences and walls. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. On January 20th and February 17th, at the 2016 Planning Commission meeting, commissioners and staff discussed desired amendments to the zoning ordinance regarding fences and walls, and concurred that there are many instances of non-compliance and code enforcement issues. Draft amendment to Chapter 6.11.90, Fences and Walls, the zoning ordinance was presented on February 17th. Revisions included further definition and standards regarding front yard fences, maintenance requirements, and code enforcement of lack of maintenance or violations of provisions of fence and wall standards. Attached is the final amended Section 6.11.90 with a minor revisions to front yard fences, fence wall material types, craftsmanship, and code enforcement, which was approved by the Planning Commission March 16, 2016. Staff recommends the City Council hold a public hearing and approve the attached ordinances. The zoning ordinance amendment 2016-02, amendment of Section 6.11.90, Title 6 of the Taft zoning ordinance related to fences and walls.
All right, the recommended action is item number 1, conduct a public hearing. So I'll open the meeting to to the public, and if anybody wishes to come forward and express their views, and seeing none, I will close the public hearing and go to item number 2. I will entertain a motion to approve and amend the City of Taft Municipal Code entitled An Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Taft approving zoning ordinance amendment number 2016-02 and amendment of section 6.11.90 of Title 6 of the Taft zoning ordinance relating to fences and walls for the first reading by title only and a reading of such to be waived.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really just had the same questions that I had really for the last ordinance, Mr. Staples. Any divergence or anything new that we don't already see, whether it's in the county or other local municipalities?
No, actually, this was, had a lot of, I guess, a head of steam when we were considering more revisions to the fence and wall standards, as there were, at the time, actually, towards the end of last year, the commissioners in their open comment period kept referring to a few properties where their fence materials changed from chain link fence to scrap wood to other materials and whatnot. And as creative as that was, it was quite inconsistent. I believe even Councilmember Hill, when she was on the commission, pointed out a few properties that were doing the same, where there's a lot of just leaning materials together.
Refrigerator door was the best.
Refrigerator doors, creative but not attractive nuisances. So we went into, like I said, into this one with a good head of steam, and then when you got to the code itself, it seemed like the only revisions were being a little more specific with front yard fences, not creating a solid wall of nearly 4 feet where you don't see anything of a person's front yard. And that's both a thing where you want to be able to see out and you want to be able to see in, both for the general public for any emergency situations, and then if emergency personnel ever needs to get there. If your property's walled in, they're not going to know where to go if emergency arises. So there's more specifics on that, the front yard fence section, and then a somewhat redundant enforcement section that refers to the administration part of the municipal code. So we came in with good intentions, but it was actually rather a minor ordinance amendment, so we just followed through with it, and it's before you today.
Are there going to be any issues with people who currently have, if we do adopt this, a fence that is against city code? I mean, can we go back and say, hey, you need to update this, or are they exempt?
They'll be exempt. One unfortunate part of it is the California Building Code doesn't require a permit for anything under 7 feet in height. So that's where we've kind of been, it's been in the code since, I believe, the 2010 building code. So since there isn't much of a structural requirement for those kind of walls or fences, even your backyard walls, we try to hand out standards as much as we can to help folks who are weekend watering their projects, but there's no permit required per the California Building Code. So we're doing what we can to get some enforceable actions, even though there's no permit required. There are design standards they need to follow, and we encourage everybody we talk to that's looking to build one to follow the code.
This will also help the code enforcement officer when she sees fences made out of pallets and
Refrigerator doors.
Yeah, some of the more recent ones have been taken down.
Whatever, no matter if they're grandfathered in or not, they're not going to be allowed.
Good.
So when you give somebody a ticket for that, okay, so we're going to write you up because you've got refrigerator doors and pallets, do you have a certain amount of time to take that sort of thing down?
30 days.
What if they can't afford to put a fence up?
There is no requirement to have a fence. Your properties can be as wide open as you want them to be.
That's all I have, Mr.
Again, we wouldn't be talking about this unless we had bad players.
A couple of issues have actually been remedied since, but
I did not think.
Mr. Noor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you think back not too long ago, typically fences in the Taft area, whether it was incorporated or unincorporated, were made out of surplus oil field tubular goods or slick line, sand line, or sucker rod, or a combination thereof. And oftentimes they were made to be very ornate, but beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and the unfortunate part of a fence is if it's between me and you, if I love it and you hate it, I've already impacted somebody's opinion, and if I'm in the middle of a block, at least 2 other people's opinions, and so forth and so on. Here again, this ordinance, there was an existing ordinance, and some of it's penciled out, and I think part of it has to do with the ex-oil field structural steel surplus put into use. But beyond that, you have got to have something to be able to go to, so you use the phrase professional grade or up to professional standards. The height of certain fences is established, because some people thought, hey, I moved in, I bought this house, and now I want a 5-foot, 5-inch tall fence all the way around the front of my house. That's not very attractive. So you have got to have some guidance, you've got to have some rules, you've got to have something. So I understand it, and I read through the whole thing, and it makes pretty good sense to me as well, and it includes a portion of a fence that might be a retaining wall, and what has to happen beyond that. So it's cleaning things up and making it clear, and there are going to be those people who now can read that and play by the rules, who, had it not been that clear, would have just had to try to come up with their own idea. So anyway, I believe it makes a great deal of sense. Thank you very much.
No comment.
Again, this is, we wouldn't have this unless we had bad players. We're not trying to, penalize people or make costly repairs, but you just can't do things on your own. Check and see if it's okay to make a fence with a refrigerator door. I mean, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for anybody in any neighborhood anywhere. And you're not being a good neighbor, and you're not being a good part of this community by doing so. We have an infamous property on Kern Street that, put up a fence in the front just to hide all the junk in the front yard. That is just arrogance on that person's part, not to try to be a good neighbor and be a good part of this community. When on a main boulevard in our community, when we're trying to show off the community, we have that kind of property. So hopefully this will put some more teeth into it. And obviously, for some people, it's going to cost them, but that's too bad. You've had plenty of time to save up for a better fence, and if you haven't, then that's your problem. So that's all I have. We have another question?
Wasn't sure.
No, fine. I will miss the refrigerator, though. That was very interesting and very creative. But this is something that we talked about when I was on the planning commission, so it's good that that's being done. We've got some very interesting fences in some areas of town.
Most people in town drive up and down the streets. Drive up and down some alleys, then you'll know what we're talking about. Just drive up and down some alleys, and then you'll know exactly. Get off the boulevard and drive the alleys, and then you'll know what we're trying to accomplish here. So, thank you for your input, Mark. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Noor?
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller?
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. Thank you. Item 5 is a study session, citywide sign program. Mr. Jones.
On January 19th, 2016, the City Council entered into a professional service agreement with Graphic Solution for a citywide sign program and wayfinding. The work was to include reviewing and potentially updating the current city logo. The Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee was to serve as the review panel for the proposed designs and make recommendations to the City Council. The committee met with Graphic Solutions consultant Simon Andrews on February 23rd and March 29th to review new concepts for a city logo. Attached are the final designs of the city logo and how it can be used for the entry, monuments, billboards, and wayfinding directional signs. An alternate logo design that includes an image of the oil worker monument is shown as well. City staff sent out a survey to the public asking their opinion on which logo they preferred, with the option of submitting a paper copy or completing an online survey. Notification of the survey was distributed to the city's various social media sites, city website, the Taft Chamber of Commerce email blast, the Downtown Business Committee meeting held on April 12th. Results of the survey will be presented at the April 19th council meeting, which is tonight. The attached proposal and the contract is not for council action, but for review of the consultant's suggested next steps in finalizing the logo, sign options, developing construction specs, and construction management.
Okay, Mark?
I just wanted to give you a quick presentation also for the public that's here tonight. We'll quickly go through the final design that the Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee, I just think this ain't gonna work. Okay, while we wait for that to respond. So, in January, the council, as City Manager mentioned, re-engaged with Graphic Solutions, who worked on the prior city logo that we use today on our cards and letterhead. So the council approved for Graphic Solutions to work with the Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee to review a possible re-envisioning of the city logo and the signs around town, because the Economic Development Workshop last July that we had, one of the top items that was discussed was to work on some signage to get folks off Highway 119 as they pass by, whether they're going from the coast to Bakersfield or vice versa. So, sorry, this is really... Let's see if that does it.
Technology and a grand.
Yeah, and a beauty. There we go. All right, so the council asked that we comprise it of council members, commissioners, and the public. Your council representation was Mr. Bryan and Ms. Hill, with commissioners Lycum and Livingston, and then the public members were Michael Long of the Taft Independent and Black Oak Cafe, and Kathy Orn from our Taft District Chamber. We held two meetings, one on February 23rd and one on March 29th, with initial and final drafts of our logo work. So this is the final design that Graphic Solutions presented in March. They presented the two logos you see, the one at the top and the lower left, to be used both as the city logo and then also as for use in the downtown area with the signs you'll see in a minute. This is the Freeway billboard. The current billboards that still have the Oil Dorado information on it will be redrafted to look like this, with the prior upper and lower left logo as the basis for the design. Then you have the city entry monument, the brick pilaster monuments you see about a mile outside of town each direction on 119 and 33. This is key here. Councilmember Bryan Hill, along with the commissioners and public members. The key is the new slogan, if you will, for the city, going from Energize for the Future, kind of stretching that out and going with honoring our heritage and fueling the future. Kind of worked through a couple combinations of that, and this one really works the best, both for honoring the past of Taft and then the fueling from oil and natural gas production in the area, fueling the future of Taft and the area around us. One thing we were looking at in is that through the the traffic committee, I believe they tried to approach Caltrans with getting more signage on 119 and 33 to get folks to turn off onto Kern Street or Atkinson to shop and dine in the city. Well, all we got were the icons, your plate, knife and fork, and some that looked like lodging, but no words, nothing that really would help people get off the highway. So we're looking into having a Taft version of that. This will probably be worked out more because it looks a little too close like the Caltrans signs. There may be a copyright issue. But as part of the economic development aspect of this, to get some of the name brand businesses in Taft to buy a spot, this would probably be more of a chamber controlled and driven sign.
How responsive was Caltrans?
We haven't gone to them yet, because I think we need to revise this so it looks definitely more like our sign than theirs. So this was not presented in the February meeting, but it was in the March, so there hasn't been much time to work on this design. Now with the vehicular direction signage, these are the ones you see in some other cities where you'll be going down Kern Street, and every so often you get some that tell you to turn left for DMV, turn right for the Fort, or to the Fox Theater and places like that. There's a total of 4 designs. Between these two, there was some people who liked the blade nature of the one in the upper left, but it wasn't playing so well how it actually came out. The one on the right had a little bit of the derrick look. But on this page, the one on the left had a little bit of that historic look with the scrolls on the underside of the sign. But the one that folks liked the most was on the right. The pole looked like some of the transmission line pipes, and play off of the oil nature of Taft. That's the one they've focused on. So that's the one the committee has pushed or backing for a final design. Here's the list of the destinations that would be on that sign. So you have up to about 3 per sign located throughout the city, including public parking areas. We worked on these locations in the 2 meetings to get as much both within the city and outside. You got 25 Hill. I believe, yeah, we still included Honolulu Hills and some areas that are outside the city, but also most of the areas inside the city. This is the historic downtown Taft sign that you see at Main Street, Gardner Field Road, intersection of Atkinson and 33-119 there, kind of a 5-way intersection. This is, like some of the others so far, it's been more of a resurfacing of an existing sign. We're still that would probably could use a little more work, but it's good as it is with utilizing the existing poles there. But one thing I noted is that it's pointing you down Main, which isn't a bad thing, but maybe it should be pointing down Center. But we are not sure who originally placed that sign, so there's some questions on that one.
Is that on our property?
I believe it is. I meant to check before tonight's meeting. I haven't done that.
Whose property is that in the corner? Is that still West Tex or?
No,
It's a separate piece.
Private property?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's within our easement or not, but that lot right there is a private property.
So these gateway pylons, these were a suggestion in some of the old downtown design projects from the 80s and 90s. They suggested these in addition to the archway. These would be maybe a block or 2 away from downtown or other features of the city, and kind of leading you to that specific feature. So these were looking to be posted at 6th and Kern on the southern corners with Waldrop's and the insurance office on the south side. The one issue here is we do have Caltrans right away, so being able to place these, we'd have to figure out exactly where they can go between Caltrans right away, Kern Street. Some of the right of way actually does extend down 6th, private property on either side, and then an actual passable sidewalk. So, but these were seen, since a lot of folks do come down Harrison to 6th, it's our parade route as well, as a feature place to put these pylons before you get to downtown. And then downtown would have the overhead entry arch. Utilizing the same logo, having the 2 slogan lines, and then some silhouettes of the oil workers, similar to what we have at the monument. This map has been provided. It's a preliminary location of where all the signs could be located. The only ones that haven't been plotted on this map are the ones with the business names. That's something that will be worked out later if we move forward with that sign, and how we place that, and what properties we place it on to make sure people are able to see it, then make a decision to turn off and head to those businesses. Here's a zoomed in view. Your blue ones there are the basic directional signs. The more purplish ones in the middle are your downtown placed ones. The green to the bottom right and to the left are the billboards. The monuments are out of view. And then you have the orange reddish ones, which are the pylon locations and the entry arch. Now, this has been provided to you as well, which is the cost estimates that were provided by the consultant. These are his costs if he took care of everything from design development through construction and their office handling all of that. I'll leave it to the city manager to add a couple words as well with what our public works department can do with our own labor and skill that we have to resurface some of the signs that don't have structure needs, and then even some of the structure ones, what we can do to reduce some of these costs. But some of the arrows and notes I put here, which are not on the copy you have, are the ones that are more just a resurfacing. Your freeway billboard, city entry monument, a services billboard, and the historic one. Well, services, actually we can leave out, but the historic one are resurfacing projects. So there wouldn't be much cost there, but I leave that to the council's discretion. And then you have your directional ones, whether they're citywide or the downtown. Keep in mind, even though they're $2,500 there, you're probably looking 15 or 20 for the citywide.
Do we have a copy of that?
You do, but without the red marks.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah. It's in this regular staff report.
Oh, okay, we didn't have a paper copy.
Okay.
Just so everybody's aware of it when you're looking at those numbers too, and it's in the footnote that in point of fact, those estimates do not include the foundation or foundation engineering or electrical infrastructure, that those are above and beyond those estimated costs per.
Right. But there are some cost savings that the city manager, who's also our public works director, could probably comment on.
Obviously, the talents of some of our people at Public Works is, you guys are well aware of what some of those guys can do out there. So I think there can be some cost savings on the construction side if we do some of those ourselves. Most of the footings and all that stuff can be designed in-house, permits and stuff. So the plan would be, if the city council chooses to move forward with this, is have a progressive approach to the program and try to take care as much as we can in-house. Of course, it's not going to happen overnight, but at least we're progressing toward the goal, and we can include a certain amount each year in the budget and get that done, and then that way it doesn't overwhelm Public Works.
But three entry signs, the big ones.
Yeah.
That would be the, obvious.
Well, the masonry ones from Maricopa and the one coming from Bakersfield, we could do the veneer rock on the corner pieces, and then have the sign made on aluminum backing and install the middle piece and do the stonework ourselves. So it can be done in-house, but the crews are very busy, so just keep in mind, if we choose to go that route, it's going to take a little bit extra time. So.
Need to get something going, but we need to pick a design too. Just kind of,
I have just...
I don't know, anybody here tonight that wishes, got any input on the signs? Zorn?
Before they do, I want to give you the online survey results.
Okay.
It was mainly a two-question survey. One, do you like the current logo? 67%, it's a little small there. So it's 98 out of 143 people who responded prefer a different logo. And then this is the breakdown from 100 and, because some people answered some and not others, so 150 people responded on the three different logos. We presented the current city logo, the one with the oil derrick, and the one with the oil worker at the monument design. And as you see in the middle there, the derrick logo with 57% of the vote, 86 out of 150 people responding chose the one with the derrick in the center. 42 out of 150 chose the oil worker monument, and then 22 out of 150 for 14% chose the current city logo. And then I also provided you with some of the specific comments some people provided. Consistently, a lot of things which were also mentioned in the committee meetings, but I'll let the council members that were there discuss what was discussed and some ideas they had. A couple mentions of utilizing more black color in the derrick and some logo designs and things like that were probably more consistent comment throughout. It seems like a lot of people like the established year date because they wanted to see it on logo 2 as well, and maybe putting California on the one they prefer because they saw it on the other. So there's some of that as well in the specific comments. But we only had 34 out of those 150 plus people who responded provide specific comments, and it's more about colors and little tweaks here and there, and we could use it for any future design modifications if the council wants to do that. So I'll leave it at that. And we could take comments if you want to do that.
Well, I'm glad we got some input. I think when we picked Dave and I were on the committee, on the council when we chose Energize for the Future, our only issue is that we never did anything with it. It got it on paper,
right,
on our logos and stuff, and on the website and whatever, and these kind of things, but we never got a sign out anywhere that people could really see it. So,
I definitely want to thank the people of Taft. This is 2 consecutive projects that they've come out with 150 plus comments and responses. Housing element last year, these signs this year. And I got rumor of it and I found it online. Even ABC 23 ran our story, so somebody forwarded it off to them to get some interest. So we might have some Bakersfield folks in this response as well, because a couple of folks called themselves out as logo designers, or just the nature of their comments were a bit, I guess on the professional side, they like the clean look of the current one and things like that. So appreciate everybody's response on this.
Okay. Mr. Jones, do you have any more comments?
No, I don't think.
Ms. Warren, would you wish to, anybody in the audience would like to come up and?
I would just like to say we have.
You gotta come up to the mic.
Gotcha.
Introduce yourself and your address,
I'm
please.
Kathy Oren. I am the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce. What I would like to say with regards to this project is that sitting in the audience is a graphic designer and an artist. Maggie Blackwell is an artist par excellence, and she is certainly well known to our community. And also Mark Fitzsimmons, who I invited to come here tonight because I am going to brag about him later on. But he's a graphic designer, and they have some pretty substantial ideas, and I think it would be wonderful to incorporate them because they're from Taft. I mean, it's pretty cool. So have I talked long enough that you're ready to speak? Okay. Please, this is Maggie Blackwell.
Would you say your name for the record and your address, please?
Maggie Blackwell, 513 Harding, Taft. So I am within the city. I stand here and I look up and what do I see? I love our seal, absolutely love it. Love the fact that it was refurbished by Chris and it radiates. But what touches me most is the fact that I see City of Taft. It gives me substance. Growing up as a kid, I wasn't always proud of my town when I just saw the name Taft. In fact, doing business with someone in Las Vegas a couple of days ago, and they go, Taft? But when I say City of Taft, they listen to me. So I think it would be interesting if we could entertain the attitude of perhaps looking at the entirety City of Taft. How this has evolved, 2-3 months ago, we were approached by the city to do the 150th birthday of Kern County. And that's where Mark Fitzsimmons, our graphic designer, came in. So Mark came up with a design that's over here by your shoulder that says City of Taft. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, I'm proud of my town. It makes me feel good. I'm not sure how I react, and that's how I entertain most things, is visually. I look at it and I react. And someone said that the gentleman that's supposed to be, and I didn't realize it, the Oil Workers Monument, it reminded me of a fruit box. And I love fruit box art, I really do. But that's not us. That could have been Madera, that could have been somewhere else on the other side of the valley. What we do have is our bronze symbol. So perhaps incorporating the derrick that's behind the City of Taft by using our bronze derrick, even though it's incomplete, it's about the people. And that's where we went when we were building the monument. I think a lot of you remember that it wasn't about the industry, it's the people of Taft. And I think that's probably the reason a lot of us live here. It's the people. It's not gorgeous mountains, it's the people. So if we can get that emotion across for someone driving down the highway, it'd be great. Billboards, you've got 70 miles an hour, you've got 7 words to capture their attention. You can't put a lot on it. So you need a design that's really, really adaptable. And paying attention to your font is crucial because you react emotionally to a font. If it's flat, the potential for depth is not there. And then we need to look at all the varieties and the adaptations of the design, because you're going to see it on city shirts, you're going to see it on hats, maybe a belt buckle, I don't know about that part. But it could even go as far as the side of the vehicles. It's all going to change. So I think having a really, really strong design, a particularly strong font is crucial, because that's how you do it. You look at a cornflakes box, you react to cornflakes, you see it that way. As we're going through different fonts and looking at it, there's cafe fonts, and you immediately think hamburgers and french fries when you see that font. I'm not sure how I feel when I see this one. It's not strongly. I know the colors, Dave will know I'm a color tyrant. It almost gives me not an oil field, not a substance field, a bit of a circus feel to it. It's the colors.
I don't know, Maggie, but it looks a lot better than what we got out there right now.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
yeah,
I'm the first to
So it's not
agree
great,
with
but
that.
it's much better than what we got going.
Why don't we go for great? We're designing it,
Yeah,
we're paying a ton of money to get the design done. So let's go for great.
settle.
This is our time to brand ourselves and really do something with it. So it's in the planning stages. Now's the time to do it right and get the fonts right. I remember when we were doing the Energized one, I showed it to my daughter, who's a graphic designer, and she goes, "Mom, looks like there's copyright infringement there with the Energizer logo going on that." These are all things you look at, but it's also that emotional reaction, your first reaction to how people feel about Taft. And then Kathy went to a conference a while back, I think, that talked about it's not alone how people from the outside look at us, it's how we feel about ourselves when we see our own signage. So little tweaks now make huge differences later on. And I agree, this is light years from where we were at.
Yeah.
It's a good start point. It's a good start point. I don't want to speak for Mark, but I love what he did with the font. He took a basic font design and then enhanced it so the applications could even be in satin stitch on a hat, on a city logo. Perhaps you can talk to him about that, but we've got some homegrown.
These folks that we engaged to come up with stuff, they don't live in the area either, and I don't know how much in depth they got into, and you're from here, so what about a contest of some sort? We'd like to get some input by maybe yourself and Mark and whoever
Well, I'm
else.
not a
and
graphic designer, I'm a
anybody.
reactor.
We're looking for something that we're not gonna try to change every 5 years either, you know, we want something.
No, I think, yeah,
You know,
the
it's a
brand is
stamp and it's
now,
gonna be here for a long time. I agree on that one logo where it looked like a farmer's, you know, looked like it on a raisin box, you know.
Yeah.
Welcome to Nevada, that's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's very nice,
It's a
but, you know,
great
it's like you said, it's
start.
not
Great
us.
Well, maybe a contest would, maybe we wouldn't naturally use someone's design, but maybe it would spark new ideas or new
Yeah,
discussions.
definitely.
Or they would come with a color scheme that popped, but maybe it's something. else.
Again, as we said at the beginning, we're not here to make a decision tonight, and that's not our purpose, but to get some input and see some visuals, you know, and talk to people like yourself that, you know, I am no artist, so
yeah, but we
you know,
need the
you see
appreciation.
things that I don't see, but I do know, like what you're talking about, you've got that people buzzing by at 55, you only got, you know, that's it, and so whatever you're gonna say, it's gotta catch their eye. You can't busy it up, and, you know, although these are really busy, I don't know how much more you could add to it, other than change the font, change the colors, or whatever.
And how much we can communicate at 70 miles an
Yeah,
hour.
yeah,
It
so-
really is.
So what are we trying to say?
It's fun to go down the freeway and start looking at billboards. You're going, oh, what did that do? How did that make me feel? One of my favorite places to look at graphic design is the back of Sunset Magazine. And you'll look at different communities, Cayucas, what is one of my favorites? La Habras. I love seeing how they make me feel about them. Instantly looking at their image, I go, oh, wow, I'd like to go there. I'd like to go there. So it's causing people to come to us. So great start point, I think. How we give guidance to the design firm, or is that the direction you guys want to go?
Brian, do you have a question?
I think the consensus was, no one really enjoyed the current logo, right? Everybody thought something
Yeah,
different, something
I
that
agree.
really captured who we are and what we want to be for the
I
future.
agree.
I love the idea about the Oil Workers Monument, and that was pervasively the conversation throughout all of our meetings. Obviously, it's a calling card for us here in town. It's going to be a calling
good
card
way
for this
to
place for, God willing, the next 100 years. I was talking to a lady downtown a couple weeks ago. She's from the Bay Area, and one of the reasons she came here was to see the Oil Workers Monument,
Fine.
right? So why not try to capture more of that? I completely agree. I love the input. I would love more input. I'm sure we all would, because at the end of the day, we want a great product, not settling for just what we think is better, but we want the best. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I think it's interesting that you mentioned circus. Both Dr. Orrin and myself, we looked at the way the paint was in the font, and I kind of got that da-da-da-da-da feeling myself.
Better than it was.
And, yeah, it's much better. It was much more, you know, circusy. But I do agree that we should maybe have a contest, because that could spark, there's a lot of people that are, you know, have great ideas.
Yeah.
And you might end up combining some ideas, but you could get some, you know, get some interest. It can be fun, too. Lets people participate, gives people ideas, and I think it'd be kind of fun to have a contest.
One of the biggest complaints that I received when we changed our other logo is no one asked for the citizens' input on what it should be. So the point I made when we were going through this exercise is maybe we should try to get some input from the community.
We just didn't come in here one night and
Yeah, I
do it. I mean,
They could have attended meetings and
Yeah,
stuff,
so,
but
you know,
when I
sometimes we're trying to make an effort this time to reach out
Yeah,
and get people's attention, to encourage them on Facebook or the newspaper or whatever, trying to get their encouragement. We could turn that process into, well, if you don't like what we're proposing, show us what you like.
yeah, don't come and
Draw a
say.
picture.
No, we weren't involved, because you had every chance to get involved, just like people got a chance to get involved now.
Definitely.
In the program, and I know it's been advertised and it's on our website, and after tonight, people will see it on here.
Another point is, it was brought up as cost for consumables here at City Hall. We would not go out and throw away all of our letterhead and throw our stickers away and throw everything away. As those things ran out, we would replace them with a
Sure.
new, so that was brought up too, so I just wanted to point that out.
And we got to be cognizant that we represent an area too. You know, we are Taft, but that's a very small part of our whole community, so, you know, we got to represent, to me, we kind of represent the west side, so, you know, but we are also Taft, I mean, that's what we're concentrating on. The one thing I'm really disappointed in is our partnership with Caltrans and our petroleum highway signs that are, one that's damn near 40 miles out of town, and one that's in Maricopa, and we don't even have a sign in Taft promoting petroleum highway, which we paid for to have placed out there, and we have to maintain them and accept the liability on them.
I did bring that up at our meeting, by the way.
Yeah. Why we can't bring, signage more closely into the community. And I talked to some of the oil company reps about putting signage out on their properties off Caltrans right away and put signs up saying, promoting petroleum highway. So it's all part of the deal.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
One more thing. The goal of this exercise and the whole reason for the committee isn't to rebrand the city. That's not the purpose. It's part of that process because a brand is who we are. It's how we advertise ourselves, not only internally, how we show our pride, just like Maggie said, but it's how we get folks in the door. Because getting the folks in the door, foot traffic, vehicle traffic, produces sales tax. Producing sales tax makes businesses more viable, makes our town more attractive. And so that is the ultimate goal of this. This is just the first step in the process, and ultimately, that is our goal.
Mr. Crowder, you have any comments?
I think it's great that Maggie came up here and spoke to us. It enlightens us as a council and brings out to the public to see what's going on TV and also in the press locally. Like the mayor said, it's something but we've branded ourselves to be with us for a long time. We'll get it done right the first time.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you guys, for coming here, and I hope the other gentleman, a few words hopefully of his ideas will help us stimulate the community here more to broaden our range and in the community what you envision to get better ideas too. That'd be great. I think we're going in the right direction by having this workshop and go forward with it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Moore?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just sucking it all in. Taking it all in.
You look like it. Mark, you have any comments that you'd like to present?
Just that I think
You need to,
idea of a contest.
you have to come up to the mic, I'm sorry.
Got you too.
I always get this man into.
Would you introduce yourself and your address, please?
Yes, Mark Fitzsimmons, 411 Shasta Street in the city of Taft. That was for Maggie. There she is. I welcome the idea of a contest, not because I per se would have a whole lot to submit, but I teach about 75 high school students every day, graphic communications, and I would love to see some of their ideas and some of the things that they would input. I know Emmy Lou Heber teaches a graphic design or desktop publishing class at the high school as well, and I know she would hopefully have some students that would potentially have some great ideas and get us to that place where we would have the best logo coming up and coming out. And that's not to say that I wouldn't put something in there as well, but, because I suspect I would, but I really would welcome the idea of a contest that was well publicized and that, virtually everybody had an idea. If they wanted to do something, they could put it in there. It would be easy to go through those and pick the top however many you decided to pick, and then put those out to some public input, very much like what you've done here. I think it'd be fantastic. The challenge is going to be to design something that can be used across many platforms. And that's where you run into a challenge, because it's not only just for, one sign, it's for stickers, it's for shirts, it's for hats, it's for, different kinds of signs. And so it's a design that really needs to be able to be put out there, very versatile, and used in a lot of different platforms. I just think we have a city full of people with really good ideas, and if we gave them an opportunity to have some input, we might be surprised what they come up with.
El Dorado changed its logo. I'm an old traditional guy, and I was, but, it looks so much better now, and it's more up-to-date, more modern, while retaining the heritage and the look. So this is what we're looking for. for the city. We're marching off to the future, but we're not forgetting our past either,
Right.
so.
And when I worked on this sign that we had out of the 150th birthday, really what I was looking for was something that was strong, something that would put just a show of who we are. We are the city of Taft. We are a strong place. It is about the people. And just wanting to put an image out there that we are. I mean, people think, oh, Taft, they're just dwindling away to nothing. That's not true.
Not at all.
That's absolutely not the truth. And we are strong, and we're going to get stronger as it goes. So, it's kind of my thoughts.
All right, well, good. Well, maybe we get you and Maggie and Kathy, get our heads together, I just need some input, and we'll get something going, like you say, for a contest, and maybe we could throw in a financial incentive of some sort, or a 6-foot tall trophy, or whatever, so. Okay, anybody else have any more input on this? Mark, do you have anything that you want to say?
Just to fill in some questions that were brought up. As far as the consultant was concerned, he was, or very much as an outsider from San Diego and whatnot. The day he came up for the January council meeting, I drove him around town when a lot of the Oil Dorado things were still up in store windows and whatnot, and I kind of nudged him in the direction of, pick up off of the Oil Dorado thing. We thrive on that every 5 years, and that's why you got a bit of the low font you do have for the word Taft. And then he saw all the Oil Workers Monument and then the museum, so he definitely played off that. And then the bottom right was a little bit of my suggestion, just because I realize we haven't fully utilized the monument as some sort of imagery beyond some great photos like Doug takes and things like that. If there was some way to maybe use a abstract or outline form of the man with the hammer and the derrick in some way, whether it's the logo or other promotional material as we work on economic development, promotions of property in town and business growth here. That was one thing that the consultant brought up, is that one thing could be the logo, the other could be some promotional imagery. So there's some options there as well, and if we do go a contest route, there may be some value in second, third, fourth place as well if we do that. So I just wanted to add some of the ideas and concepts that were.
Well, I'm glad we got away from the oil squirting out of the top of the oil derrick. This is kind of the direction we're looking to go in. And as far as an archway, El Dorado every 5 years is looking for a hook, a project. The Oil Workers Monument was 1 year. We had a dedication of Gardner Field 1 year. We did it way back when we did a dedication for the boot hill up in South Taft, and different things, and we donated money, the Oil Dorado did money to help get the museum going and saving the derrick. So this is something that, I know Councilman Noor and I, we want to get together and try to make this a kind of community project. But I've seen several of these in different cities, and it's quite striking, especially if you can get some lighting on it and glow it at night. So maybe it's something, El Dorado, and hopefully the economy turns around a little better by then, that we could have this as a planned project, just as they did the Oil Workers Monument in March till they got it built, and they had it done before Oil Dorado of 2010. So maybe this is something that, once we get this contest going, once we get the logo, and then we can march along towards that and get signage out on the highway, which we desperately need.
It's funny you mentioned that, because that's the exact same verbiage that was used during the committee meeting, so it's nice to know.
All right, well, Mark, thank you so much. Maggie and Mark, thank you for your input, and Kathy, we appreciate it very much.
Do we have some general direction for the city manager, myself, of next steps?
Well, I think one of the things that brought up was this contest, so let's work towards that. I know we're under contract with, what's the name of that?
We don't want to get in a big hurry, and
No.
so I think
Well,
the time.
The one thing that Maggie touched on, and people who are not artsy don't always think about this, but these things are a feeling, and most people who are in art and do artsy things, they understand that you're trying to capture that feeling. When I first looked at the current logo, I thought, we're not an agricultural town. And that's how it made me feel. I looked at it. This makes you look, when you look at this monument picture, you feel like we're strong. It's a good feeling. And so I think it's really important that we spend the time to really work on the strength of this. The colors are important. And I was looking at some of this, I don't know if I read this, but some of these are some of people's opinions, and one of them that I totally agree with is, let's get into black and gold, let's get into blues and golds. The colors need to be really important as to, we're very black and gold in this town. It's kind of our deal, and I think we need to really capture that. And I love the idea of a contest. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, I think you have a sense of direction where we're going. We don't want to hurry this up, but it's, we got to get started somewhere along the line. Let's do it. All right. We're moving on to item number 4. Public hearing, oh no, we already did that. What am I doing? We did the study session? Item number 6, study session, city clerk elected versus being appointed.
City attorney is going to give us a presentation on the city clerk elected versus appointed. If council remembers, 4 years ago, the city went out for an appointed position, city clerk, and failed to get the vote. So I think there was some misconceptions of why and how it would work out stuff, so.
We have to state right off the bat, this has nothing to do with the person. It has everything to do with the position, because Ms. Mayfield is doing an excellent job as our city clerk, and we appreciate everything that she does here. And so this has nothing to do with her as a person, but it's how she's going to be effectively working her position, or down the road somebody else.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In fact, that was one of the points that I was going to make. That should be clear to everybody. I work with Ms. Mayfield. We speak probably every week, and if we don't, we at least email. We've spoken just today several times. So this has nothing to do with, I want to be clear, this is not only for the city council, but also for the public's information. This has nothing to do with Ms. Mayfield. You may be wondering why Ms. Mayfield doesn't give this presentation herself. And the reason for that is that as city clerk, she's involved with the elections, anything that's on the ballot, not only this issue, but any other issue. And she should at least publicly refrain from supporting an issue or opposing an issue, because there would be a possibility of an allegation or a perception of bias, which is why I'm having this discussion with you rather than Ms. Mayfield. Of course, if anyone wants to approach her privately and ask her opinion on something, she's free to express that opinion privately. Currently, as I think everybody knows, the city clerk's position is elected in Taft. And I was going over the list of cities in California. There are approximately 480, a little over 480. And it looks like while the city clerk in each of those towns in the past was elected, cities have been moving away from that at an increasingly fast rate. And right now, it's just about 80% where the city clerk's position is appointed by the city council rather than elected. And that's what we're proposing, that the city council will come back to you in May, if this is the direction you give, with a resolution to place onto the ballot for the November 2016 election, something for the voters of the city of Taft to consider, to adopt an ordinance making the city clerk's position appointed by the city council rather than elected. And while at first blush that may look like something that's being taken away from the voters, it's an opportunity for the voters to put into the hands of their elected officials a decision that's extremely important. I also want to clarify, people sometimes think that this is what the city clerk does, what you see here in the city council meetings, and this is really only the tip of the iceberg. As I mentioned, I deal with her constantly every single week. She has to understand things about the Public Records Act, about the Brown Act. She has to deal with making sure that actions taken by the city council are executed, that they're recorded if necessary, that they're published if necessary, and that they're archived as they're supposed to be. She deals with the elections and a lot of other issues. This is a very important part of what she does, but this is really only the tip of the iceberg. And so you need someone in that position such as Ms. Mayfield, who is a very professional and experienced and knows what they're doing. And usually, I don't know how many citizens of Taft have had this experience, but I know I've certainly gone into the polling booth before and seen what's perceived as an obscure position, and I don't recognize any of the names or know who's running or what their qualifications are or anything like that. And this is a position that's essential to the proper functioning of any city, which is why 80% of the cities in California have moved away from direct election and toward appointment. Because the city council is uniquely in a position to review the qualifications of a city clerk or of the potential city clerks and make that appointment accordingly. So that you're not just walking into a booth, seeing a list of 2, 3, 4, 5 names, people you may or may not know, you may or may not have any idea what their qualifications are, and you check off the first box, or more likely you don't vote for any of them, and someone ends up slipping in by default. That's what we want to avoid. And I should also point out, the city of Taft would not be the only city looking at making this change on the November ballot. We think there are going to be at least another 3 or 4 cities in California this year. So in 10 years, I don't even think this is a discussion anyone would be having. I imagine that just about everybody in California would be appointing their city clerks rather than having them directly elected by the constituents. So it's an important position. It's one that, in my opinion, the city council is in a better position to deal with than the voters. And the voters can express their opinion through their city council members, not only electing them, but by contacting them and letting them know what they think about a certain issue or a certain candidate or something like that. So there's still that opportunity for the voters to speak out. So what we're going to propose is that we come back to you in the, I believe it's May 17th meeting with a resolution that this issue be put before the voters on the November ballot.
One thing I might remind people who are looking and thinking about this position, how much does the city clerk make a month?
$300.
$300. So this is a position that $300, and the city clerk has to get a certification of some sort, or
Yes,
they have to go through training and certification and all that kind of stuff. So you just can't walk off the street or be, just have a full-time job and then come down and do city clerk's work at night. It just doesn't happen that way. And the other part of your job is, what's the official title?
Municipal Records Administrator.
A municipal records administrator, which is her other job, which is her main job for the city, which pays a lot better than $300 a month. And that position is appointed by the city manager. So there's two jobs here. So, and the city clerk, Ms. Mayfield, is doing both of those jobs. But if you were running for city clerk like folks did last time, that's only for the city clerk position and not the records administration position, because a whole set of different qualifications for that particular job. So I just want to throw that in and make that clear that although the city clerk's position is part-time, it's almost full-time.
I agree with everything you said, Mr. Mayor, and I would add one more thing. I'm not going to point out any specific examples, probably not appropriate here, but everyone has access to Google. And there have been, in the last few years in California, in different cities which have their city clerks directly elected, there have been situations where someone was elected, a couple of situations, who simply, although they ran for it, had no interest in the position, apparently. And since they're an elected official, it's almost impossible to do anything about that, and it created incredible havoc with city government in those situations. I'm not saying that would ever happen here in Taft, but it's a possibility.
This is kind of like our city logo. What's done in the past, we're moving forward, and this city clerk position that's the way it's been in the past, but we're moving forward as a city, and there's some changes that need to be made, and this particular position is one of those.
Correct. And then if I could add one more thing quickly, because I know someone's going to know what this is going to cost. And we've looked into it to have it added to the ballot. We were given an estimate by the county of $13,000. However, if we were to do it in an off-year election, that estimate would probably be closer to $50,000 or in excess of $50,000. And I want to point out that we think that that estimate of $13,000 is far above what it would actually cost. That, based on what we know at this point, that looks like a worst-case scenario, and we're probably looking at more about, in the range of about $4,500 to perhaps $6,000, is based on how many people actually vote and a per-voter charge for that sort of thing. So $4,500 to $6,000 is probably what the cost would be. Far less expensive than ending up with a bad situation.
Sure.
Jason, is there a charge to the municipality every election cycle to have a position like this elected?
That's actually an excellent question. I believe there is. Do you know what that is?
There's not a breakdown that I know, but yes, we pay, because we consolidate with the county, we pay the county, they invoice us at the end of the election for all the services they provide.
That's right, when these two ran for the position, we forgot to send you the bill for that.
That may be something we...
But there is a charge for any election, for whether it's the water district or here, or the healthcare district. Yeah, so there is a charge.
I'm sure that it breaks down on a per position basis somehow, right?
I'm
That's
sure
just
that-
how they put the ballots to vote.
Okay, so if we do this one time, we pay X amount, we don't have to worry about doing it perpetually every election cycle, so
That's
there's a long-term
correct.
savings.
Okay, that's where we're at. Any other comments from anybody from the public would wish to comment? Oh. State your name and your address again, please.
Mark Fitzsimmons, 411 Shasta again. I just want to say, sitting back there listening to the presentation, listening to the discussion, we're in a conservative area where people, including myself, run fast and furious away from big government and allowing government to control our lives more and more and more. And while I believe that this move towards an appointed city manager is absolutely the best thing possible, my suggestion that would be to educate the public on exactly what it is and not let them believe that you're just trying to take more government is whatever, the way he gave that presentation just now, put that out there somewhere where people can see that, because I'm sitting there, my first thought was, less control, more control, bigger government, and as he presented that, it was like, that absolutely makes a lot of sense. And so my suggestion would be to make sure that every voter out there have those facts and the reasons behind making that move, rather than just deciding we're the city council, we want to make this decision. Because I fully agree that this is a great move and a great step to take, but the first thing you hear is take something away from the voters and they're going to go, why? Good education is gonna go a long way.
Thank you, that's
Mark, if
good.
you would turn, I don't know, 90 degrees to your right, I think Dougie was talking to you.
All right, thank you. That was great input, Mark. Appreciate it so much. Okay, that was study session. We're moving on to item 7, citizen request for public comments. Do we have any? Got somebody? Okay. Now I have to read my statement. This is time and place for the general public to address the city council on matters within its jurisdiction. State law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. Council may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting. Please limit comments to 5 minutes. First on the agenda is Kathy Orn with the Taft District Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to let you know about the 150th birthday bash that was celebrated last Saturday at the Kern County Museum. And one of the great attractions to our area, the entire Pioneer Village was divided into the 5 supervisorial districts, and we, of course, got the area by the oil derrick that is across from the Fellows Hotel, which is the only place in the park without grass or shade. So I want to acknowledge our great city manager for knowing that and taking care of us. We had great support from city council, and we appreciate that. I want to acknowledge those people that came to represent our area. That was the Oil Dorado sheriff and his posse and the Wooden Nickel gang, and that was a suggestion by our city manager Craig, and they came, not all of them, but they certainly put on a wonderful show. Wind Wolves Preserve was there. The STEM program from Taft College was there with wonderful experiments, robots. They were very popular. The West Kern Oil Museum, of course, and city folks came. Belinda Cole, who is the administrative assistant to Craig, we worked together for months on this, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate all that she did. Also, Erica Balthazar, Christine Bamford, and Elsa Garcia were there to represent the city and were a great help. Mark Staples was there. We certainly appreciated that, Mark. But I have to tell you, the showstopper for us was this wonderful poster that was done, and the beginning of which was the photos taken of our oil worker monument by Doug Keeler from the Midway Driller. And it was awesome. The design of the poster was done, I think, kind of in tandem with Maggie and Mark Fitzsimmons, although Maggie will give Mark most of the credit. But this poster, are you Chad? Gosh, they grow up. You're not going to be able to see that, I think. The posters are there in the corner. I don't think you're going to be able to get a good shot of it. But for those of us that are in the room, this is an awesome poster of the Oil Worker Monument. And it is powerful. On the wall where it is, it does not look imposing. But when you hang it from a 12-foot high frame, it's very imposing, and I bet 500, 600 photographs were taken of people standing next to this, having their picture taken. Wow. It is a beautiful rendering. It is awesome, and I want all those people in television land to know about it, because I'm going to take this concept to the Oil Worker Monument Committee. I think this needs to be something that we see as a moving symbol where we go when the city moves. And the city does move. We go to shows, we go to different things to represent Taft, and this would be awesome. Not in the way that we had it, because the framework to hold it required 3 men and a small boy, but it was huge. So can you guys, the three of you, I want Doug and Mark and Maggie, would you come up here? Where's Maggie? Just stand here so we can get a picture of you guys for television land here. These are the people that made this happen, and those of you that are seeing this by video are not going to see a really great picture of this, but you're going to be seeing it around town, I will guarantee you. I'm so proud of this. I'm so proud of them for all the hard work. And Doug, great pictures. Great pictures. So thank you very much. Mark was on the other end of the line saying, "You can't do that, Kathy. It ruins it." So I had a lot of suggestions that were not taken. So
favorite word was no.
Yes, all right. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. Today, Belinda and I traveled to Havilah for the real celebration of the 150th birthday of Kern County. Oh, Lord. It was very interesting. I keep forgetting about that road through the Kern Canyon. It hasn't gotten any straighter. No. And then we took shuttle from Kern Valley up to Havilah. You know, when I first heard that the county seat was in Havilah, I was so excited I couldn't imagine why they would change it from the coast inland to Bakersfield, and then I realized they were saying Havilah. Anyway, we were there. It was a very interesting time, and we sat there for a wonderful kind of a history lesson, and then we came home. We were there to represent the city of Taft, and we were able to get our picture taken with David Couch, who was there, and totally amazed that we were there. He was like, "I can't believe you guys came here," but it was great. I want to express my thanks to Mayor Miller, City Manager Craig Jones, and Chief Ed Whiting for their part in the State of the City. It was a wonderful and informative time, and we so appreciate the support from the city that we get. And again, the support of the city in helping us put together that display for the 150th birthday bash. Not too many cities could, not too many people putting together those kinds of displays enjoyed the kind of support that we did from the city. So I thank you for that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, anybody else? That was it? Thank you, Kathy, appreciate it so much. We're moving on to item 8, council statements, non-action. Mr. Knorr.
I have nothing this evening, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Wow. Mr. Cryer.
Lord, yeah.
He's looking at the clock, so, Mr. Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a lot of things happen last week and the week before, and I'll try and make all we can make. All of them, it's almost impossible to hit all of them because a lot of them don't run concurrently. They same time and different places. But for this week anyway, we have the Arbor Day coming up on April 21st, and at the community garden. It'll be a good function for a family event for everybody to go there, see what we have growing out there, and little boxes they have for rent, and enjoy the festivities that's going on. There'll be a program put on by the city there, and the mayor's gonna give a little speech.
I am?
I understand. The flag salute, and usually being heavily involved, and be where you are now.
Oh, not carving pumpkins this time, huh?
No. Can't ride the kids. But anyway, and then also the ARC's having a program on from 11 to 12 on the 23rd. There'll be a barbecue held at the Moose Lodge, and all the proceeds, 100% of it, will go all to the clients of ARC, for all their trips and stuff that they do. Their program, going to movies, going to the beach, and different other functions that help pays for that. It's a great event to go to. They'll be serving tri-tip and lettuce and salads or whatever go along with it. And also, your ticket will go in for a raffle for prizes. So it's a good function for everybody to participate. It's from 11 to 12. Excuse me. It's I'm not sure the exact time it is, but it's I think it's 11 to
yeah, I think it's 11 to 1 or 2.
11 to 1 is around there. But it's a good function to go to on April 22nd. Anyway, I asked everybody there, and I'm sure I'm trying to make it. And I believe this Wednesday, don't we, Kathy, have a sit and sip, and we have a speaker from CASA coming out there. It'd be a good program for people that want to volunteer to help the kids or having needs a mentor with and I look forward to help in the community. So it'll be a good event for people to go through and listen to. And like I say, there's always something to do, and it makes this town a great city. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep mine very brief. I just really want to say I love this city. I love the West Side. I love everything that is about this place. It's been my home for the last 32 plus years, and God willing, it'll be my home for the next 75 plus. I'm honored, again, to sit with you guys on this dais and to serve in any other capacity where I'm able to serve here in the West Side. I look forward to doing it for the rest of that 75 years, if my wife allows me to live that long, because I am involved in the manner I am. So I love you, babe. Thank you very much. But that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Ms. Hill.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment, we've had a lot of people staying at our hotel, which is good for Taft. We've had a lot of people walking up and down Center Street, spending money, which is good for Taft. But we also had a couple of people commenting on what a nice, clean city we have. And, sometimes we take for granted, and I was kind of looking around going, yeah, we don't have a lot of litter in the streets. We're looking down Center Street, there wasn't garbage in the street, there wasn't garbage around. People are actually using the garbage cans most of the time. And I happened to be in Bakersfield a couple days later and went, wow, it's a lot grungier over there. No offense to Bakersfield, but Taft is clean and nice. So it was nice to have a compliment from somebody who did not live here saying what a nice town we have. And we do. So that's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you. I just want to comment that Bakersfield Symphony was in town this past Sunday and put on a wonderful show. And you have a full symphony orchestra in the Taft High Auditorium, and the sound in there is just awesome. I mean, it's just like putting headphones on them. It was so great, and they played John Williams with the Boston Pops. Show tunes from Star Wars and Harry Potter and Jaws and some other ones that he has written. And to hear that full orchestra took me back to my time back in high school when Taft High had a full orchestra at one time. So I know they're working on it, and being in the band is a thing to be doing in Taft, and hopefully one day we'll have an orchestra back. So want to thank the Bakersfield Symphony for coming over and reaching out to the various communities. So it was a great day and had great weather, so it was a lot of fun. I had another comment that went by me, so I'll let it pass. Move on to item number 9, the Planning Commissioner's report. Mr. Staples.
My apologies to the city clerk. I failed to inform her that we were going to consolidate our special meeting on April 6th with tomorrow night's Planning Commission meeting to be reported on May 3rd. So there won't be a Planning Commission report tonight. It was just it was directed at the meeting to not have some report tonight.
We're having a joint meeting on the 3rd?
No, Planning Commission had a special Planning Commission meeting on April 6th, and the city clerk was correct in assuming that we were going to have a report this evening on that meeting, but at the Planning Commission, it was decided that that special meeting and tomorrow night's Planning Commission meeting will be reported on May 3rd.
Okay.
But I'll roll right into department reports if you want.
Okay, well, the Planning Commission is busy, so that's good.
Yes. Just quickly, as a staff member, it was a good decision on my part to volunteer at the 150th birthday celebration on Saturday. It was a good time. It was good to see the representation by pretty much every corner of Kern County. But like our State of the City address, something was missed in that Maggie Blackwell had a good art display along with our setups from the West Kern Oil Museum and the STEM program with Taft College. It was a team effort to help her get everything level and displayed well because of the lack of shade. We had to make sure none of them were unintentionally destroyed by the sunlight and weather conditions, if you will. So it was a great day. Happy to report more than half the people I asked if they knew where Taft was, they said yes.
Wow.
And probably half of those were not Taft residents. They did admit they drive by when they head to the coast. They do stop in, and I tried to encourage them, make the right turn on Kern or Atkinson, or left turn if they're heading back, to stop by and maybe get some cheaper gas and food and whatnot. But it was a good turnout, good family event, and despite competing with some other special events that were going on around Bakersfield. So it was a good time by all and a good display by everybody that showed up that day. Thank you.
Mark kind of jumped the gun. He jumped into department reports. Is there any other department reports tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 11, city manager statement.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to give a plug to our program, Coffee with a Cop. We had it this past Thursday, and it's slowly picking up a little bit of attendance from our citizens. And one thing I notice is it seems like every time we have it, there's a few people that show up, and you can tell they got something on their mind. And then you see them in the corner talking to a certain police officer, and they're working out either a personal issue or something that they're working on. So it's good to see that people are using it for what it's designed to be used for. We have a training coming up. Linda, when is the training? 21st? 23rd. So there's a Coffee with a Cop programs kind of nationwide, and there's a group that started it, and they provide training to police agencies and stuff, and for electeds and, city managers and stuff on how to interact with the public and try to better the relationships between the citizens and the police officers. And so if you guys can attend, it's great. It'll be at OT's. It's a breakfast and lunch kind of deal and kind of half a day. And Belinda's worked hard on getting that set up. Originally, she came to me and said, great, there's some training. It's in Hawaii. And I said, I don't think that's going to work. So, even though the police department said that's great, when do we go, you know? So they said, you know what, if you guys can get some people to come and you want to play for our hotel room, we'll come out and do it for you guys, because they believe in the program and they know it works. So we're going to be doing that. So I think it's going to be a good thing for everybody. An update on our transit facility. Mark Staples has been working with our architects on the design of the future transit facility that's going next to the oil worker monument. So we're looking at coming before the council here pretty soon with some design ideas so you guys can get a feel of what we're shooting for as far as the addition that we're trying to incorporate in the design, and that's a meeting type, banquet type setting that would be that would use the oil worker monument as a backdrop for people that have meetings larger, 150, 200 people, that kind of thing. So we look forward to bringing that before you guys for your input and direction. That's all I have. Thank you.
Well, this coffee with a cop program is really good. Because I used to volunteer with the Sheriff's Citizen Service Unit, and one of the things that I got out of riding around with some of the sheriff's deputies is they don't always meet the nice folks in town. They tend to deal with the people that are causing problems, and sometimes that maybe taint some of their opinion of people, I suppose, and it's just human nature and you can't help it. So for them to get out, meet with the citizens in these kind of format, it's a two-way good program, and I apologize for not attending last Thursday, but I had a thing that came up and I couldn't make it, but I'll sure try to make the future one. So it is a good program, and I appreciate TAF PD and their efforts to communicate and reach out to the public. Item number 12, city attorney statements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very quickly, everyone's aware that the city has been involved in litigation with CDCR over the prior closing of the former CCF for several years now, and as I reported out of closed session a few meetings ago, the city council had authorized the city to enter into a settlement agreement in that matter, and it's appropriate now to announce publicly that settlement agreement has been executed, and we expect that matter to be dismissed within the next 30 to 90 days after a payment is made by the state to the city of Taft in the amount of $168,319. And at that point, that litigation should be completely resolved and over with.
So, you don't know how many closed sessions we've had on this subject. So the check's in the mail?
Well, I can't say that it's in the mail yet because I don't work for the state, but our information is that...
But they signed off on it?
Yes, the settlement agreement is completely signed. And
well, that's what we've been waiting for, is somebody to put their signature on it.
Hallelujah. I, for one, will make this statement. Money notwithstanding, just being done with the litigation, hallelujah. My word. Man.
Oh, Lord.
Thank you.
2,000.
2.5. And we're all happy. And our information is that hopefully by June 8th, that check will be received, if not before. However, it could be, as I said, 30 to 90 days.
There were certain costs that were ignored by the state when they came in and closed the facility. And there were certain costs involved that was in our contract that we felt that they should have paid. And so it's taken this long of a time, I think, what was this, 2010 or? 2011, to now, for them to finally get somebody up there to agree and sign off on it. And this certainly doesn't cover our costs at all, but it's just finally done. So we don't have to keep announcing going in closed session with litigation with the CDCR. So That's a real relief for this council. Thank you.
Great news.
Great news, thank you. Item 13 is future agenda requests. Does any council member have an agenda request for the future?
No, sir.
I have an agenda request, Your Honor.
Yes?
If when we get the check from the state, instead of cashing it, perhaps we could bronze it, frame it. No, perhaps not. Okay, I'm sorry. Just an idea, passing thought.
Should we send them a certificate of recognition of being able to finally get it done?
That might not be a bad idea.
Just keep the other checks coming, that's all we got.
I was going to ask you for an amen once we got it.
You know, this has been an ongoing closed session item for at least 3 or 4 years, so it's just nice to get it done and over with. So moving on, we're moving on to the consent calendar, items 14 through 17. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none, I will move on. Here we go. Item 14, minutes of the April 5th, 2016 regular meeting. Item 15, payment of bills, about $331,000 worth. Item 16, healthcare screening and vaccines for correctional facility employees. Motion to approve $5,000 to be added to the correctional facility budget for required health screenings and vaccines for correctional facility employees. Item 17, the execution and filing of a Transit Development Act Article 8 claim for fiscal year 2013-14 and 2014-2015. I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar, or if anyone wishes to remove an item.
I'll make the motion to approve the calendar, Mr. Mayor.
I would second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Noor?
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Hill?
Yes.
And Mayor Miller?
Yes. Item 18, this is our last item, I believe. Yes, it is. Donation to the Taft Chamber of Commerce to help cover costs of the 4th of July celebration. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Last April, City Council approved a donation to the Taft City Chamber of Commerce, the amount of $2,500 for the 2015 community firework display. The Chamber has begun their fundraising efforts for 2016 firework display and is requesting the council to consider donating it again this year for the 4th of July celebration. There are several funding amounts for the City Council to consider. Please see the attached sponsorship form. That's it.
There's a recommendation that I entertain a motion to donate funding to the Taft Chamber of Commerce 2016 4th of July fireworks show fund in the amount approved by council.
Motion.
So I have a motion, but within a funding amount, if I could.
Well, it just says last year you guys chose to do 25.
That's what we chose last year.
You can do 25.
Could be more this year, or could be less, or be nothing, so.
I'd like to see you do 2,500 with openers later.
So your motion is to approve,
The 2,500 and possibility later to open up again for, if we need any more.
okay, do I have a second?
I would second that motion.
Do we have any further discussion?
I think it's a great tradition for our city to have fireworks in here, and I know tougher times, and I think the city is something to offer the community, something to come to the park and have a family get together and an evening, and just to have a good time, the difficult times we're having right now, and plus the patriotic part of it, our founding of our country, and appreciation that this country given to us, and for us to hold our government and our keep the remnants of our freedoms that we do have. But I just think it's a opportunity for us to keep this fireworks going each year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I truly believe that we have the most incredible venue for fireworks. I do. I cannot believe it. And I don't think that the pictures Doug has taken of the monument during the course of the fireworks show are on there, but I have multiple pictures. Is it on the bottom? I have a bunch of them in my phone that are among my favorites. But anyway, I love fireworks. I make no secret of it. I love this country, and I love the fact that we celebrate it. And I will be a part of it. I would make a request. I don't know what it is, but I truly believe that at the finale, there should be some blaring sound system playing John Philip Sousa. And I mean, yes. Oh, my word, I just love that. So, I'd be happy to talk to you when we're done with this, see what I can do to help with that. I will be a part of the fireworks, and I think it's great that families can come and enjoy the fireworks at that venue, and then they still have actually the 4th of July to stay at home and spend with their families and barbecues, or if they go to the lake, and they do not miss the most incredible fireworks show available. So we're very, very fortunate, and I look forward to it. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Hill.
I have no comment, thank you.
Mr. Bryant.
Nothing further beyond what's already been stated, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, I also want to make a comment too. A fireworks show isn't free.
Nope.
It's free if you come down, but somebody has to pay to put it on. They don't come and blow fireworks up for free, so there's quite a cost involved. So your donations, $1, a dime, or, $5, $10, $25, whatever you can afford, goes to defray the cost of the show. We can't just depend on generous donors for you to take your family down and enjoy a free show. The other thing, this $2,500 is a cash donation, but the city of Taft provides the venue, and unfortunately, we have to clean up the mess that everybody leaves in the area after the show is over with. So we'd appreciate it if you'd, bring your articles in and take your trash out. So that would be more than helpful. It puts quite a strain on our maintenance folks, public works folks to clean up afterwards. So if you would do that, we would appreciate it. It is a great show, and it's unique to a lot of towns. Just can't do this anymore. And so your help and your donations will go forward to have a great show this year, just like we had last year. Fabulous. Madam Clerk, will you take roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Noor.
Yes.
Councilmember Cryer.
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Councilmember Hill.
Yes.
And Mayor Miller.
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. Thank you very much. We are now at the end of our meeting, and we're going to be going into closed session for one item. Unfortunately, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, case number S-1500-CV-281650.